Hello, this is Jason Clement, Technical Sales Manager at Isonas, and welcome to this online training video. This module is Pure Access Basic Administration. In this module, we will review adding holidays and scheduled events, removing user access and credentials, running reports, creating scheduled reports, and an overview of custom rules. For all these items, it's easiest just to review them right in the software. Now that our system's been up and running for a while, let's take a look at some further administration in Pure Access. First, we're going to take a look at holidays and scheduled events. Go back to our access control and take a look at these rules that we created. When we created these rules, we used specific schedules. So if we go back and take a look at our schedules page, we created some of these schedules as non-holiday types, meaning that a holiday would override the schedule, not allowing people access or not allowing a unlock time on our front entry. Now, where do we actually go in and create those holidays? We create those underneath the calendar, which is right next to the schedule menu. Here I can see a calendar showing June 2017 when this video is recorded. We'll go ahead and add a holiday in. On the right hand side over here, we'll click Add Holiday. In the United States, we have our Independence Day, July 4th, which is a Tuesday this year. So I can either make this holiday just a single day, or I can have it span multiple days. In this case, we're going to have it span multiple days because we're going to give our employees a couple days off. So we'll set it to span multiple days. We'll go ahead and set a start date next July on July 3rd because we'll give them Monday off. And we'll go ahead and have an end date of July 5th. So they'll have July 4th off, and then we'll also give them a day to recover on Wednesday. We'll go ahead and save this holiday. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the month of July. And now I can see that July 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all holidays in the system, and it will override those schedules that we created in the system. Now let's see how this will actually affect a schedule in the system. Let's go back to June, and we'll add a holiday in for today. We'll just call this Test Today. And we'll go ahead and set this for today's date when this was recorded, which was June 8th. And we'll go ahead and add this in. So now I have a holiday set for today. I've made some changes, so I need to update access points. Now let's go take a look at our dashboard. First, let's take a look at our front door. This door should normally be on its unlocked schedule right now, but it is locked because we set that holiday in, so the door locked back up. Now we can go ahead and test some cards. Jan's a manager. He was given all access all the time, so his card's fine. Mario's card, however, was declined no time zone because he tried to read his credential during a holiday. Now normally he would have access today, but the holiday overrode his schedule. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll go back to access control, go back to our calendar. I'm going to go ahead and edit this event, and we'll just go ahead and delete this out of here. Go ahead and run a change again. We'll go back to our dashboard. I can see that the front door is now unlocked, and if I test Mario's card now, I'm granted access. And that's how holidays work in the system. The other piece was schedule events. So let's go ahead and go back to access control, and we'll go back to our calendar. And we'll go ahead and we'll add a new scheduled event in. Scheduled event is basically a one-time event that we want something to happen that's outside of a normal schedule. For example, maybe we have a donor meeting. And this donor meeting is next Monday. We want the front entry to unlock during a different time frame, not from the 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. that it normally is. We want it to unlock from 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. or 1700 till 8 p.m. or 2000. So we'll go ahead and set that up. We want it to be the front door. And then finally, we want that door to auto unlock. Go ahead and save this event. And now it'll kick off that one-time event. If we didn't have that, we'd have to go in and we'd have to actually create a whole schedule and create a rule around it, and then go in and delete that rule once the event was over. But with the scheduled event, we can go ahead and just schedule that, set it, and forget it. And you can create as many scheduled events as you want. The next item we'll talk about is removing a user's access. So let's go ahead and take a look at the users in our system. And we'll use Mario Rossi as an example. Mario up and leaves the company, takes his credential and everything, and just quits. We want to make sure that if Mario comes back, that we can actually track him and see if he is trying to use his card to get back in. So when we look into history, we want to see that it's his credential. In order to do that properly, let's go ahead and edit Mario. Now we can go in, if we click on his credential, and we can disable his credential. We can also deactivate his user. However, once we do that, it won't show his record if somebody reads one of his credentials. In order to see if he comes back and tries to use his credential, we want to take him basically out of the group. So if we go under groups, see what groups that he's in, we'll just uncheck the office manager. Now he's not part of any groups, 0 groups. We'll go ahead and save that. We'll save changes for his user. And now we can see he is not part of any group and he has no rules associated with him. So if we go ahead and run a change now, we'll go back to our dashboard and we'll go ahead and test his credential. Now I can see an entry for Mario Rossi, decline, no badge. This is what we want. The other thing you can do as well is go under user groups and just add a user group called terminated employees or something like that. We'll go ahead and add a user to it and we'll put Mario in there since he was a terminated employee. Now, just because we created this user group doesn't mean it has any rules associated with it. In fact, it has none, and we're not going to create any rules associated with it. It just makes it easier later because you can run a report across the user group pretty easily and see all your terminated employees. So let's go ahead, we'll take a look back at users, we'll look at Mario, and now we can see Mario is in a terminated employee group but has no rules associated with it because we didn't create any. Alright, so let's say Mario made a mistake and he comes back and we give him his job back. So we'll take him out of the terminated employee group, put him back into the office employee group. Save changes. Now we can see the rule has come back because we put him back into that group. We'll go ahead and run another change. Check out our dashboard. And here we can see Mario is now approved. Now let's go back and edit Mario again. Let's say this time Mario lost his credential. We'll go ahead and highlight his credential by clicking on it. And we'll just hit this basically little pause button here. That'll deactivate his credential. Click Save Changes, and then run an update. Let's go back to our dashboard and see what this looks like. Now it says decline no badge, system admin. That's why if somebody leaves with their card, it's best to just take them out of the group so that way if they come back and read their credential, it will show who they are. If you just deactivate their badge or deactivate the user, it will come up as system admin decline no badge because the badge isn't really associated with anybody at that point. So let's go back to users. Go back to Mario. And we'll see if we deactivate that person, it'll basically deactivate any credentials, and then when we go back to our list of users, we don't see Mario in there. However, if we go over to the upper right hand side here and click Show Deactivated Users, now we can see Mario is in this deactivated users screen. So let's go back and hide these deactivated users again. So same thing, just like deactivating a credential, deactivating a user will give you the same event. Now if I go back underneath that user, we'll go ahead and show deactivated users again. We'll go back to Mario, and let's say third time he's coming back, he wants his job back, and we give it back to him, so we just reactivate his user account. However, it doesn't reactivate his user credentials, so we have to go underneath and basically turn those back on. Save the changes we just made, run an update since we made changes in the system. Now we'll go back to our dashboard, and we'll go ahead and test this credential. Approved access, which is what I would expect from turning them back on. So that's how we remove users, deactivate users, and deactivate credentials. One last thing, underneath the user, pick on Mario again here, if I deactivate this credential, it will still show up underneath his credentials underneath this user. However, when we saw in the event history, it came up as system admin. That's because the credential is really not associated with Mario anymore. If Mario left and this time he turned in his credential, I could deactivate his user, which would deactivate his credential, save it, run an update, and then I could take the same credential that Mario had and I could actually assign it to somebody else. You just have to make sure that it's deactivated, that you run an update against it, and then you can go back and assign that credential to another person. The next thing we're going to talk about is reports and peer access. So let's go ahead and go to our report menu. And the most common type of report is a history report, which is the first one that comes up here. So fairly simple, I have a from and a to. So if I wanted to see events from today, I could just choose today's date starting at midnight and basically today's date ending at midnight. Then I can filter by users in the system. So we've been playing with Mario a lot. Let's go ahead and uncheck all the other users and we'll just run a report based on Mario. So I'll just select his record here. We'll just leave all access points, but you can filter based on single access point or access points in a particular group. What events do we want to see? I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this to clear everything. I want to see approved access, declined access. Now those aren't the only two if we want to see event history from Mario. We got to scroll down here and we want decline no badge, no time zone, lockdown, and also tamper. That'll give us any admits or rejects from that person. You can also filter on badge IDs, but that's not too often that you would ever need to use that. Usually just by user access point or event type. Great, now that I have that, I can run this report. And it shows me all of his approved and decline. So I can see a couple different ones here. I see approved, I see decline no time zone, and I also see decline no badge down here. Now Mario's been a troubled employee, so HR wants me to send this to them. I can just go up here, we'll call this Mario History Report. And we'll go ahead and save this as either a PDF or a CSV if we want to pull it into Excel or some other type of reporting format. We'll just save it as PDF because that's pretty simple. Downloads the PDF to your PC. Double click it. And it's just a basic PDF document. Now I can email this to whomever needs it. Now if you wanted to run another report, you would actually have to click out of this screen and basically back to the history screen. Now I can choose my filters again. So now maybe I want to actually run this report maybe from the beginning of the week to the end of today. I can run it across all the users. Maybe I only want to see particular access points, just anybody reading at the office employee doors. And I can just run it across all event types, which is going to give me a bunch of history here. So if I run this report, we're going to get a bunch of stuff. In fact, we've got 3 pages of event history here, scrolling down through all this. So you can see if you don't control your events, filters on what you actually want to see, you're going to end up with a bunch of stuff of compile sends and things like that that you probably don't need to see. So when you're running reports, don't forget to apply your filters. The next report is a user report. Pretty simple. Shows you all the users in your system. If you choose the user group filter, it shows you the user groups and who's in those user groups. Access points is pretty much the same. Here's all my access points in the system, and here's an access point group report. Hint, you'll need this access point group report if you're doing the online training. Schedules, same thing. Run a report, shows you all your schedules in the system. Holidays will show you the same thing as well. It's just going to show you what holidays you have configured. Attendance is a little bit different. I'll go ahead and run this report. Basically what it does is it takes the first time somebody has read their card on this date that we have scheduled in here, which is by default today's date, and the last time they read. This is at any access point. So this is the employee entry. I've been using the employee entry as test, but this could be the employee entry and then the back door, or whatever combination of access points that they read in and out of that day. And then it gives you a calculation between the first and the last read. Permissions report gives you permissions. So if I run this report on my basic users, it says no results matched your search criteria. That's actually perfect. We want that because remember, we don't want to build permissions or weekly rules off of users. We use user groups. So if I run this off of user groups, now all of a sudden I see all my permissions that I built in the system. Hint again, you'll need this report for your final exam. And the data card export will be covered in another module. Essentially, this will take all of your users in the system, export the information into a format that's friendly for data card badge printing, and import it into that software. The last piece for reporting is actual scheduled reports. So ad hoc reports that I can run whenever I want to are great, but what if I want to set up some scheduled reports to be automatically emailed out to people? That's even better. We'll go ahead and we'll go to settings and we'll go to scheduled reports. Of course, I have no reports in my system yet, so we can add a report. I can click here, I can click on this link, or I can click on this link over here too. So we'll go ahead and give this a name. I'll call this Daily Rejects Report. Now it's a daily rejects, so pretty simple. I'm going to run a history report. I want to see any card rejects or decline no badges in the system. I'm going to run it across all users, even though any managers really would never show up because they don't get declined access because they have access to everything. And we'll go ahead and run it across all access points, but we're going to filter on the events. Since I'm just showing rejects, I want to see declined access. And then again, remember you got to scroll down here and get these other ones. Decline no badge, decline no time zone, decline lockdown, and decline tamper. I want to send this to my managers. So I can just click the managers group, which gives me Jane and Jan, who are the two managers there. I'm going to send this report out at midnight, and I'm just going to send it out every single day. So, pretty simple there. And then I could add another report in. Maybe I want to see admits at XYZ door. Maybe I want to see who's going in a particular door. So again, we're going to run this across all users because we want to see anybody that gets admit to that door. And maybe it's our MDF door. That's a good example. We don't want anybody going in the server room that's not supposed to be in there. Or we want to see, hey, who's going in there? Why are they going in there so much or something like that. So admits at the MDF door. We don't care about anything else except for approved access. So that's pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and email this out to managers again. And we'll just do this one every day as well. So now these reports will automatically be mailed out and the person doesn't have to go in every day and try to run them or forget to run them and then have to run one long report for the last month or something like that. So schedule reports are fairly simple. Last piece we want to talk about are custom rules. Let's go back to our access control menu here. And we've talked about all this other stuff except for areas. Areas has its own advanced training module that we're not going to talk about in the basic training for pure access. So let's go ahead and go to custom rules. Custom rules gives us some advanced functionality. However, it is all based on the server being up and everything being online. So let's go ahead and we'll close this warning out because that's basically what it says. And we're going to go ahead and create a custom rule. We'll call this MDF access. So basically it's if something happens and if something else happens, etc., then do the following. So we want to say if a user's card is rejected multiple times. Somebody tries to read their card twice at the MDF door, trying to get in there for some reason within 1 minute. And we need to tell it that it's at a particular door. Oops, that's a particular user group of people. At a particular group of doors. Yes, we want to change those settings. And we'll go ahead and add that MDF in. So if the user's card is rejected multiple times at the MDF door, and we can actually add one more in here. We can say if it's not during a particular schedule, maybe typical office employee hours. So finally, if a user's card is rejected multiple times at the MDF door and it's outside of normal office employee hours, then go ahead and send an email to a specified person. Again, maybe anybody in the manager's group. So you can see custom rules is really flexible. And when we talked about alerts and configuring how to email out alerts to people, it was on or off. But you can see with custom rules, we can actually tailor this to when people will receive certain types of emails. We can create alerts, we can create lockdowns and other things off custom rules. I could sit here going over every type of instance for custom rules, but it's best if you either one, have a specific objective in mind, go ahead and play around with it to see if you can achieve that, or reach out to our pre-sales support who can assist you with custom rules as well. So in this module, we talked about adding holidays and scheduled events. Holidays being able to override normal days in our schedules, and scheduled events being one-time events in our system. Removing user access and credentials, simply taking them out of any groups that they're associated with will remove any permissions they have, and deactivating a credential or a user. Running basic reports, mainly history reports, just don't forget your filters. Creating scheduled reports to be automatically emailed to people. And finally, we talked a little bit about custom rules and how to create them. Thank you for watching this training video, and have a fantastic day.